Say what you want about the smell. I think all of us would like a little more garlic in our lives. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today in the middle of April in 2022. So today we're talking about something that is near and dear to a lot of our hearts, and that is garlic. And it's interesting that when you talk about garlic and we talk about it being near and dear to our hearts, garlic is actually fantastic for your ticker, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we are talking about how we grow garlic here in the Arizona desert. One of the keys about garlic is timing when you plant it. So for most of us around the country, and that includes us here in Arizona, it's best to plant your garlic in the month of October. And that's exactly what we did when we were planting out these fall beds, which is what you see us working in here today. One of the things that you'll notice, there still is a lot of green around the garlics. The reason being, our fall beds are basically done. We've come back through these beds, planted our daikon radish, which will be eventually our cover crop for summer, because we'll cut this back and then let this basically build soil for us all summer. So we're here in the second week of April, which is probably just a little bit late as far as when we should be harvesting the garlic. It's technically anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So for us here in April, we're pushing that 6-month time frame. Now there are two types of garlic. We weren't sure when we planted this which one we had. We just used grocery store garlic in order to get these established. But we can tell pretty quickly that these are hardneck garlics. And the primary reason is I'm confident these are ready to harvest, but you can see the garlic shoot itself is still completely erect and not fallen over. So we definitely are dealing with a hardneck garlic in the garlic that we have planted here. Now, when you're dealing with hardneck garlic, because you don't have the obvious advantage of the top laying down when it's ripe, you need to look for a few things besides the time. One of those things that you're looking for are these little tiny leaves that start to come out, particularly at the center of each one of these garlics. And what that is very, very small cloves that are starting to develop as you have a fully mature garlic that's now ready to harvest. So another thing you start to see are some of these dying leaves on some of the older leaves on your garlic. Along with those smaller leaves in here tells me that this garlic is definitely ready. So we're gonna go ahead and do a quick harvest. Because we have so much wood chips around these plants, I push those back just a little bit. That way I'm not getting a whole lot of wood chips inside the hole. One other thing to keep in mind is irrigation. You don't want to be irrigating right up against the garlic the night before or the day before you go to harvest. It's going to make it a lot easier when it comes to curing your garlic. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. So here we have our first garlic harvest, and you can see the head's a little bit small, so not knowing the variety, you just never know what you're gonna get. And this is the first one of several that we're gonna be harvesting today. But you saw how you just pull straight out because we didn't have a whole lot of moisture in the roots. We had all of the soil itself coming off of this root mass at the end. That's going to be important when it comes to curing this, which we'll be talking about here in just a moment. One of the key things with this is you want to make sure that this, at this point, stays completely dry. You don't want to rinse this off. Only thing you want to do is just brush off some of the dirt that's off of these roots here, and you also don't want to damage these roots. Again, all part of the curing process for this garlic. We have our work cut out for us, so we're gonna go ahead and get to the rest of our harvest, and we'll show you what we have when it's all said and done. This will give you an idea of what we have harvested today. Now, one of the things I want to mention is we had to adjust a little bit how we harvested these, and it might be the case for most of you. What we had to do is actually use a shovel and go underneath the roots themselves to break them slightly. Because what we were finding is the soil which we have is fairly new and it's still pretty compact. And so I wasn't able to pull them out with starting to tear some of the tops off. So you may need to use a shovel. Just be careful and make sure that you get that shovel down underneath this root ball so you're not cutting into the garlic itself. So you can see we have varying sizes of garlic. This would be a very common size that you would find, say, from the grocery store. Probably have a good dozen cloves or so in this bunch here. And some are as small as what looks like a scallion. In fact, we'll probably use it a lot like that. So just almost like a small onion, just in garlic flavor. But most of them are about this size, maybe slightly larger or smaller. And you can see what it looks like here out of the ground. Now, we are definitely not done. We had talked a little bit about making sure to shake off that dirt as you're pulling these, because now what we're gonna do is go ahead and get these drying and curing. And that way you can actually store them for very long periods of time. In fact, we are just now using our last garlic heads from last year, so about a year old, and they were still going strong. All right, we need to take these and we will show you what we do in order to dry them, because it's pretty simple for us here in Arizona. Now comes the curing process, and it's actually very, very simple. What you need is you need dry, which we're in Arizona, it's always dry. We're about 15% humidity or so, which is pretty common for us. We should stay that way for the time being. We're inside our outbuilding here, so the temperatures stay pretty consistent, right around 80 degrees or so this time of year in here, which is just fine for this portion of the process. All we're really trying to do at this point is make sure we maintain airflow around the entire plant. You're not gonna do anything with this as far as trimming. Leave these how they are. Don't trim the tops off at all. And again, airflow. So Lori let me borrow one of her hanging racks for clothes, because this is also our garlic drying rack. Now, we have H-frame here inside our outbuilding, so we're gonna pretty much use the H-frame in order to cure most of this, because it doesn't necessarily need to hang. Again, you're just looking for airflow. But we're gonna go ahead and see how this turns out, because I imagine most of you out there don't have H-frame racking that you can cure your garlic on. So we were able to get 46 heads of garlic onto this single little drying rack here, and I think these are good to go. Now, as far as how much time, that really is dependent on the environment that they're in. Here, again, we're in low double-digit humidity, so it's very dry in here, and again, we're about 80 degrees and it remains pretty consistent. You definitely want these to completely dry, so you will find that the roots at the end will come off very easy. They'll get really, really dry fast. Same thing with the tops, those will turn completely brown and get very brittle. Once you see that, which will take, again, a period of time based on your environment, what you can do is cut off the tops. We usually leave a good 2 to 3 inches on the garlic itself as far as the top is concerned, and then we trim the hair, so the roots down at the bottom, pretty snug. So we'll keep those maybe half an inch or so of the roots left, and then these will store for a very long period of time. Standard thing there, cool, dry place. So we have 46 heads of garlic, and assuming these taste like we expect them to, we'll be using these here very shortly for all those wonderful recipes. In fact, one of them we have on our Healthy Farm Living channel. I'm gonna go ahead and link that for you here. That is fermented garlic, which I can tell you is incredible. One other thing I know for sure, anybody walking around in this building for the next couple months is gonna wonder where the pizza's at. So just wanna thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. We cover a lot of things here on this newly establishing desert farm. Obviously, gardening is one of those things, but we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That is a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it does not matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just wanna thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Because we just used grocery short. as you have a fully Okay, so I'm getting distracted because it all smells like garlic over here.
Yeah, I can smell it from here.
It smells incredible.
Mm-hmm.
This outbuilding is going to be, well, vampire free for like the next 30 to 60 days. Let's redo the whole thing. Yay, we get to redo because we messed it up. Is it pizza? I think it's pizza. Spaghetti? I don't know. I know one thing's for sure, anybody walking by this building for the next couple months is gonna be asking for spaghetti. One thing's for sure, all those vampires running around town, they ain't getting in here.
I love how you can just entertain yourself.
I can. I entertain me, basically nobody else. Hey, it works for me.